It's a real privilege to be able to give our thoughts during this Passover season to you all. I am Rabbi Benjamin here in Adat Yeshua Messianic Synagogue here in Norwich on Essex Street. Once the lockdown is over, you're welcome to come and join us to worship with us if you would like to. But my thoughts today are really just to add to your thinking about this Passover coming up. Lots of thoughts to think about. You know, this is the God of Israel who took us out of the land of Egypt. This is what Passover is all about. And I'm sure that you're all aware that this is very much the background for the Christian festival of Easter, what later became that festival. But when you put it back into the first century, it's quite interesting because we see there straight away that Yeshua, the Jewish Messiah, he didn't keep Easter. He kept Passover, of course, because he was and is a Jew. And he gathered together with his followers and he kept that Passover meal in that week, as a momentous week that it was, gathering together in that one place to keep the Passover, which is of course commanded in the Torah, commanded in the Jewish law to do so. It's not surprising really that this festival has become the focus really for our faith in so many ways, and of course why Yeshua also died, rose again at this time of Passover, particularly because the message that comes out through the Tanakh, the Old Testament, is God is our salvation. He says, I'm the Lord your God who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. And this is the truth that we stand upon, that whatever our bad, dire situation is, whether we were slaves with Pharaoh or are slaves to sin, the same situation applies, that God is the only one who's able to save us from our sins and bring our redemption to us. And so Yeshua keeps the Passover. We know, of course, and I know you know this too, that the Passover festival, the meal and the evening celebration really was the backdrop to what the church would then later develop into Eucharist and communion. But at its core and its base, it has always been Passover. That is what the scriptures have commanded us to do, to celebrate because of our redemption and our salvation. It's a Jewish festival at its core. And there's one element of it that I want to just pick up on in my final thought for you, which is the matzah, the unleavened bread. This is a key feature for this because the leavening is the sin action in our lives, as both the rabbis and many other teachers have taught down the millennia. This is exactly what it is, that we remove the chametz, we remove the leaven from our homes for the Passover week. And also then spiritually, we are to remove the leaven from our lives, the sin from our lives. This is the process that ultimately in Yeshua's own death and resurrection makes the whole thing fulfilled. He is able to remove sin from our lives by eating unleavened bread for this week or next week after the Seder itself this coming Saturday evening. When we do this, then we're acknowledging that our lives are now possible to be sin-free in Messiah because he has forgiven us for every sin. Every bit of matzah, unleavened bread that we eat, that's it crisps in our mouths, reminds us we are able to be free of sin. I wish you well in this season. Thank you for listening.